Every record said Leah installed the brake hose that failed. The code burned into the metal said the part had not been manufactured yet. Leah Torres was 37 and had worked as a master mechanic for 16 years, long enough to know the exact shape of her own handwriting. That was how she knew, standing in the inspection bay beside a wrecked sedan, that the initials on the repair order were not hers. They sat in black ink at the bottom of the page, LT, signing off on the front brake line that failed 6 weeks before the car hit a concrete divider. A woman had nearly died in that crash, and every record in the shop said Leah was the one who worked on that brake. The initials looked close enough to survive a quick inspection and wrong enough to make her stomach tighten. She had never touched that car. The customer, Malik Brooks, had suffered a broken collarbone and a concussion. His daughter escaped with bruises. Investigators found brake fluid across the wheel well and a split replacement hose bearing the shop's inventory sticker. Leah's brother Adrian stood beside the insurance inspector. He was 41 and managed the business side of Torres Auto. "I need you to be honest about what happened," he said. Leah told him she had never installed that hose. Adrian opened the digital work order. Her employee login had approved the repair. An apprentice named Jonah Hale had signed as the second technician. The parts system showed one hose removed from inventory that morning. Every record pointed to Leah. The state licensing board placed her certification under emergency review. The insurer suspended the shop's coverage for brake work. Adrian told employees that Leah would remain off the premises until the investigation ended. Before leaving, she looked once more at the failed hose. A small laser code marked the metal fitting near the split. The characters were not the supplier's usual format. Scene: an old family garage with 2 siblings working in separate bays. Torres Auto belonged to their mother, Elena, who had started it with 1 lift and a borrowed toolbox. At 64, she still owned the building but planned to transfer the business equally to her children at the end of the year. Leah ran diagnostics and safety work. Adrian managed estimates, suppliers, and customer accounts. Their roles had once balanced each other. Over time, they became competing definitions of what the shop needed. Leah refused jobs when customers wanted temporary repairs on unsafe vehicles. Adrian believed she turned away money the family could not afford to lose. He pushed for faster service, cheaper aftermarket parts, and a partnership with a regional repair chain. Leah opposed the chain offer because it required volume targets that rewarded speed. Elena delayed the ownership transfer until they could agree. Malik's sedan had entered the shop during that argument. He complained of a soft brake pedal. Leah recommended replacing the master cylinder and 2 aging hoses. Adrian approved only 1 hose, saying Malik could not afford the full work. Leah remembered refusing to sign the repair as complete. She had left early that day for a dental procedure and expected Adrian to reschedule it. The work order now said she performed the repair before leaving. If the board accepted that record, Leah could lose her license and Adrian could present himself as the only qualified successor. The chain offer expired in 12 days. The accident had turned their family disagreement into a deadline. Scene: repair orders and employee login records displayed in a garage office. Adrian invited Elena and the insurance investigator to the office. He presented the shop records in order. Leah logged into the work system at 7:42 that morning. The brake hose left inventory at 8:06. Jonah clocked onto the job at 8:14. Leah's account closed the order at 10:31. Jonah stated that he helped bleed the brakes while Leah checked the fittings. He was 19 and had trained under her for 8 months. "You saw me install the hose?" Leah asked. Jonah looked at Adrian before answering. "I saw you working on the car." The answer was narrower than the statement Adrian had submitted. Adrian produced security footage showing Leah enter the bay. The camera angle did not show the wheel, but it placed her near the sedan. Leah explained that she performed the initial diagnosis before leaving. Adrian said her memory might be affected by dental sedation later that morning. He did not accuse her of deliberate negligence. He described an experienced mechanic who rushed a job while distracted by an appointment. That version protected the shop while sacrificing Leah. Elena asked whether the failed hose could be defective. Adrian said the supplier had inspected it and found tool damage consistent with improper installation. He had a signed report, a witness, timestamps, and Leah's initials. She had a memory interrupted by medication and family conflict. Scene: a mother and daughter speaking inside a closed auto shop. Elena asked Leah to cooperate with the insurer and avoid accusing Adrian without proof. The shop employed 9 people. If coverage remained suspended, everyone could lose work. Accepting one technician's mistake offered the quickest path to reopening. Leah understood the pressure. She also understood what it asked her to surrender. Malik's attorney sent notice of a negligence claim. Online reviews began naming Leah after someone leaked the inspection report. 2 longtime customers canceled appointments. She requested a copy of the original hose invoice. Adrian supplied one showing the part purchased 8 months earlier from Metro Components. Leah called the supplier. A representative confirmed the invoice number but said technical questions had to go through Adrian because he was the account holder. Her attorney arranged an independent inspection. By then, the failed hose had been sealed as evidence, and the insurer allowed only photographs. Leah enlarged the laser code. The first 4 characters might represent a plant and production week. The image was too blurred to read the final digits. She sent it to a parts engineer she knew. He said several manufacturers used similar marks and would not identify a batch from a photograph. Her first attempt produced suspicion, not proof. Leah returned to the sedan's earlier service history. 3 months before the crash, another technician had measured brake pressure and noted a slow internal loss. Adrian closed that recommendation after Malik declined the estimate, but the notation showed the problem predated the hose job. Leah sent it to the insurer. The investigator replied that an old warning did not establish the cause of this accident, and could even suggest the shop had ignored a known hazard. The setback was sharper because the record was true. Evidence that supported Leah's diagnosis also increased the shop's exposure. Adrian used it at the next family meeting, arguing that her insistence on reopening old files threatened every employee. Leah had to decide whether clearing her name mattered more than protecting the business from an honest claim. She sent the complete history to Malik's attorney. If the shop deserved liability, hiding it would only repeat Adrian's choice in a different direction. Adrian told Elena that Leah was searching for technical excuses instead of accepting responsibility. For one night, Leah wondered whether she had touched the hose and forgotten. Then she remembered why she refused the repair. The part Adrian ordered was the wrong brand. Scene: mechanic comparing parts catalogs and inventory shelves. Torres Auto stocked hoses from Westline. Their fittings carried blue inventory bands and stamped batch numbers. The failed hose wore a blue shop sticker, but the fitting itself used a laser code and a different crimp shape. Someone had placed a Torres inventory label on another manufacturer's part. Leah obtained catalog images from 3 suppliers. The fitting matched a new economy line produced by Branton Industrial. Branton had announced the line only 4 weeks earlier. The work order claimed Leah installed the hose 6 weeks earlier. Adrian responded that manufacturers released products before public announcements. He suggested Branton may have produced test inventory months earlier. The insurer agreed that a catalog date alone was not conclusive. Leah requested the physical part for laboratory inspection. Adrian opposed removal from the evidence bag, citing chain of custody. Malik's attorney eventually secured a neutral automotive laboratory. Before the examination, Leah searched the shop's discarded label bin. She found a sheet of blue inventory stickers with one number missing from the middle. The missing sticker matched the hose. That proved the label came from the shop, not who attached it. She also discovered that Adrian had changed inventory permissions 2 days after the crash. Historical edits now required his password. The false repair was not a single document. Someone had aligned the inventory, login, witness, and damaged parts so each supported the next. The batch code remained the only part of the story that person did not control. Scene: a brake hose fitting examined beneath a laboratory microscope. At the neutral laboratory, the engineer cleaned the fitting without altering the laser mark. The code read BI 4-23-19-0672. Branton Industrial confirmed its meaning. The hose came from Plant 4, production lot 2319, Unit 0672. Lot 2319 was manufactured during the 19th production week of the current year. That was 5 weeks after Leah supposedly installed it. The company had not made prototypes with that lot number. Its numbering system was assigned only after final production. The engineer also found that the split did not result from over-tightening. The hose had been cut partway through with a narrow blade and then flexed until it failed. Adrian claimed the insurer or tow yard could have substituted the part after the crash. He was no longer defending the installation record. He was trying to move the substitution away from himself. Branton traced lot 2319 to a distributor called North County Fleet Supply. That distributor sold 12 hoses from the lot to a new cash account 2 days after Malik's accident. The account name was A. Torres Service Consulting. Adrian had opened it 3 months earlier. The batch code proved the hose could not have been on the sedan before the crash. The distributor record placed the later part in Adrian's control. Someone still had to explain how it reached the impound lot. The distributor preserved counter video for 30 days. It showed Adrian in a baseball cap paying cash, but his face appeared only in profile and he had signed no receipt. His attorney called the identification speculative. Then the clerk remembered Adrian asking whether the blue shop labels would adhere to the hose's protective coating. The question had seemed ordinary because independent shops relabeled parts for inventory. Leah did not rely on the clerk's memory alone. The cash account application used Adrian's private mobile number, and a confirmation text arrived while the clerk stood at the counter. Phone records placed that device beside the store at the sale time. Each detail was modest. Together they removed the alternative in which an unknown buyer happened to use Adrian's name, number, and new account 2 days after the accident. Scene: a tow yard gate and a damaged car under security lights. The sedan remained at a tow yard for 36 hours before the insurer's first inspection. Adrian told investigators he visited only to photograph exterior damage. The yard's handwritten visitor sheet supported him, but one entry showed no departure time. The tow operator, Glenn Ross, had received most of Torres Auto's recovery work for 7 years. Adrian promised him an exclusive contract with the regional chain if the sale went through. Glenn admitted allowing Adrian into the secured vehicle area after closing. Adrian said he needed to retrieve shop tools from Malik's trunk. He carried a small parts box and stayed beside the front wheel for 20 minutes. Glenn did not see him change the hose. He saw enough to know his original statement was incomplete. He remained silent because the chain contract could double his business. Once Branton's shipping record emerged, silence meant helping maintain evidence he knew was false. Glenn signed a corrected statement and provided the yard's gate remote history. Adrian's assigned remote opened the vehicle area the night after the crash. The gate record did not prove what happened inside. Combined with the later manufactured hose and Adrian's purchase, it placed the only person controlling the false records alone with the car. Leah returned to Jonah next. The apprentice had not seen her install anything. Adrian had helped him decide what he was expected to remember. Scene: a young apprentice speaking inside an empty repair bay. Jonah's apprenticeship depended on documented hours and a supervising mechanic's recommendation. Adrian controlled both while Leah was suspended. After the crash, Adrian showed him the work order and asked whether he remembered helping Leah bleed the brakes. Jonah remembered bleeding brakes on several cars that week. He could not identify Malik's sedan. Adrian repeated details until uncertainty felt like memory. Then he warned Jonah that contradicting the signed statement could end his apprenticeship for dishonesty. Jonah admitted that Leah left for her appointment before any replacement work began. Adrian completed the customer paperwork himself and told Jonah the vehicle would return later for the remaining repairs. He also remembered Adrian using Leah's workstation after she left. Her session remained open because shop policy discouraged logging out between bay tasks. Jonah signed a new statement. He understood the licensing board might still discipline him for the first one. Leah did not reassure him that fear made the false statement harmless. Malik had been injured, and Jonah's words helped direct the investigation away from the person altering evidence. She also recognized Adrian's method. He did not invent witnesses from nothing. He found a true fragment, placed pressure around it, and allowed someone frightened to repeat the larger story. The evidence chain was now complete enough to reconstruct. Jonah also showed Leah a photograph he had taken for his training portfolio on the morning of Malik's visit. The sedan was visible in the background before Leah left. Its front wheel remained mounted, and the original Westline hose could be seen behind it with the brand's blue crimp band. The image was not sharp enough to establish damage, but its timestamp contradicted the inventory record claiming the replacement hose had already been issued. Naomi, Leah's attorney, warned that the portfolio image would expose Jonah to questions about using a phone in the bay. He chose to provide the original file anyway. The decision cost him his placement when Adrian dismissed him for policy violations. Elena later arranged supervised hours at another shop, but not before Jonah learned that correcting a coerced statement rarely restored the life that existed before it. Scene: independent engineers examining original brake components. The planted hose explained the frame-up, but not the original accident. The laboratory inspected the master cylinder and remaining brake lines. Internal seals in the master cylinder had deteriorated, causing pressure loss. Leah had documented that exact risk in her initial diagnosis. Her recommendation remained in a temporary inspection file the work system saved automatically before Adrian closed the order. The file stated that the vehicle should not be released without a master cylinder replacement. Adrian deleted the warning from the final invoice and authorized a cheaper hose repair. When Malik returned the next morning, Adrian told him the brakes were safe enough until the next service. After the crash, Adrian faced a choice. Admitting he overruled Leah could expose the shop and destroy the chain sale. Blaming a defective installation placed responsibility on one insured technician. He bought a Branton hose after the accident, cut it, labeled it with a Torres inventory sticker, and replaced the original part at the tow yard. The master cylinder failure, temporary diagnosis, batch code, purchase record, and tow yard access all described one sequence. The strongest physical proof remained simple. The hose carrying Leah's supposed mistake had not existed when the work order said she installed it. Scene: auto chain purchase offer beside hidden business debts. The regional chain had offered Adrian a management position and a cash bonus if he delivered Torres Auto without Leah as an owner. Her safety policies conflicted with its production targets, and she had already rejected the proposal. Adrian also concealed $90,000 in tax and supplier debt. The sale would satisfy those obligations and allow Elena to retire without learning how close the shop was to default. He believed he was saving the family business from Leah's refusal to compromise. The accident created a path to remove her license, gain Elena's support, and complete the sale before creditors acted. Adrian had spent years watching customers request Leah by name. He managed payroll and complaints, but the family described Leah as the reason the shop had a reputation. His resentment did not cause the master cylinder failure. It shaped the decision to turn that failure into her fault. Leah understood why Adrian feared losing the shop and disappointing their mother. She did not accept a rescue plan built around an injured customer and a planted part. Elena had unknowingly signed a preliminary consent for the sale after Adrian described it as a vendor partnership. When Leah showed her the full agreement, they found a warranty stating that no unresolved safety incidents existed. The crash would allow the buyer to cancel unless one employee's negligence could be separated from management. That clause explained why Adrian needed more than a convenient suspect. He needed the records to show that ownership had maintained proper systems and one mechanic had violated them. Leah's initials preserved the sale price, his promised job, and the story he intended to tell their mother about retirement. The planted hose was designed for a contract as much as for an insurer. Scene: a licensing hearing with a brake hose sealed in clear evidence packaging. The licensing hearing included the insurer, Malik's attorney, Elena, and both siblings. Adrian began with the work order, employee login, inventory record, and Jonah's first statement. Leah's attorney presented the temporary diagnosis showing she recommended the correct repair and refused release of the vehicle. Jonah withdrew his earlier statement and described Adrian using Leah's open session. The laboratory engineer displayed the hose's laser code. Branton's production records established that Lot 2319 was created 5 weeks after the alleged installation. The distributor invoice showed Adrian bought the same lot after the crash. Glenn confirmed that Adrian entered the impound area with a parts box. Adrian argued that none of the witnesses saw him replace the hose. The engineer then explained the partial blade cut and the blue inventory label added after manufacture. No innocent sequence connected Adrian's purchase, private access, and the impossible work order date. Elena asked her son why he released Malik's car after Leah marked it unsafe. Adrian said the customer needed transportation and the shop needed the work. He insisted he never expected anyone to be hurt. The accident was a mistake, Leah said. What you did afterward was a plan. The board restored Leah's license and referred Adrian's conduct for criminal and civil investigation. The insurer rejected the chain sale and reopened coverage only under Leah's temporary control. Elena withdrew Adrian's authority over the business. The part stayed sealed on the table after everyone else stood. Malik attended by video from a rehabilitation clinic. He asked why no one from the shop had told him Leah originally marked the car unsafe. Elena apologized without limiting the apology to whatever the insurer might cover. The shop agreed to mediation and paid for a rental vehicle while the claim proceeded. Leah did not present that outcome as victory. Malik still had a fractured wrist, months of therapy, and a new hesitation every time a brake pedal traveled farther than expected. Restoring her license corrected the false assignment of blame. It did not reverse the harm that made the lie useful. Her first decision as temporary manager was to place stop work recommendations beyond any single owner's ability to delete, and to require the customer to sign any declined safety repair before a vehicle could leave. Scene: a mechanic signing a completed brake inspection in a reopened garage. Malik recovered and settled his claim through the shop's insurer. Leah visited him once to explain her original diagnosis. She did not ask him to forgive the family or preserve the shop's reputation.
Torres Auto reopened gradually.
Elena transferred operating control to Leah but kept ownership while the legal case continued. Adrian lost his management role and faced claims involving evidence tampering and falsified records. Jonah remained an apprentice under another supervisor. His new training plan required him to document what he personally observed, not what someone in authority expected him to remember. Leah changed the shop systems. Every safety recommendation required customer acknowledgement. Employee sessions locked automatically, and evidence from serious accidents went directly to independent storage. She also separated ownership from inspection authority. No manager could release a vehicle that a licensed technician had marked unsafe without a second licensed review recorded under a different account. The change slowed the busiest mornings and cost the shop several impatient customers. Elena worried that the new process looked like an admission of past negligence. Leah said it was an admission that reputation could not substitute for a barrier when money and safety pointed in opposite directions. At the first staff meeting, she placed the Branton batch diagram beside the service manual. She did not use it to teach that parts always exposed lies. She used it to show why technicians recorded what they personally installed. A batch code mattered only because someone outside the family had created it before anyone knew the shop would need a story. Elena attended but did not lead the meeting. For decades, employees had settled disputes by asking which Torres family member carried more authority. The new procedure asked whose observation had been documented at the time. That change reduced Elena's control, including the control she once expected Leah to inherit. She signed the policy because saving the shop could no longer mean preserving the family hierarchy that allowed Adrian to speak for everyone. Those controls could not repair the trust between the siblings. Adrian sent one message saying he had tried to keep their mother's life work from disappearing. Leah answered that a family name was not preserved by placing it on a lie. Months later, she completed the first brake job after the insurer restored full coverage. She checked the fitting, pressure, batch number, and road test herself. At the bottom of the order, she wrote LT. Hi, I'm Ethan Cole, and this is Ethan After Dark, where I tell stories of betrayal, family secrets, revenge, and sweet justice. Now back to the story. The same initials had nearly ended her career when someone else used them. This time, they appeared beneath work she had inspected, completed, and was willing to defend. And that's the end of this one. If it kept you up, do me one favor, hit subscribe. I tell a new story every single night, and I'd love to have you back. Good night.